Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Woo! I can't lie to you folks. Daniel Farker said it. Points away from home, wins at home. We need to follow this up with a win against Hull City. At the end of the day, folks, we did not deserve anything from that game. Yes, we had a lot of possession in the second half, but ultimately a lot of that was due to game state because Watford said we hold what we get. Look, you have to be critical and say that Farker got it wrong. Why did he get it wrong? Well, basically, in order for us to get back into the game, he switched what a lot of us thought he should have gone with anyway. Put Ampadu back at centre-back. He moved Gray into midfield. He then put Byram at right-back and Firpo at left-back. Now, his hands may have been tied, folks. Maybe Firpo couldn't have played that long. Maybe, you know, there's loads of different factors, folks. But ultimately, Farker got it wrong initially, but there might be reasons as to why. Look, he brought on Pirro for Rutter. Rutter was pretty ineffective. Somerville was good. Mateo Joseph coming off the bench, scoring with his second touch. Love to see that. A lot of people say, oh, he had to... But had he been brought on earlier, we weren't getting service up there, folks. The game had to change in order for him to get it up there initially. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it anyway. Look, everyone will have their opinion on Cooper. Sad for me tonight to see him get subbed off. You know, he was at fault for the second goal. I won't have people besmirching his name because for me he's a legend. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's unfair that he gets, you know, getting called names and shit. It's not for me, but yeah, look, he's at fault for the second. He gets beaten in the air. That's what it's by. He gets beaten in the air a bit too easily. But we didn't deserve anything from that for me. We didn't deserve anything from that. But the sign of a team who will go up and potentially win the league, not potentially will win the league, I think, you know, that's a good point in the end. It's a good point in the end. The performance wasn't great. Yeah, the performance wasn't great. Was it cocksuredness? Was it, you know, like an overconfidence? Was it legs, you know, due to, let's not forget Ampadu, James, Rodon, they played 120 minutes. They played 120 minutes just the other night. You know, Firpo wouldn't have been 100%, although when he came on, we looked so much better. Ampadu, we looked better when he was at the back. Yeah, Cooper is a legend for us, but stop the we didn't deserve anything anyway. Well, we didn't, gloves off, sweet science. We didn't. Watford were the better side for me, in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, I'm happy that we've come away from that with a point. Do you know what I mean? Like Farker says, I mean, Joe was saying it earlier on, actually, coincidentally. You get a point away, you win at home, it'll see you go up. Let's hope that it proves to be the case. But let's get some people in now. We've got Andrea, we've got Evie, and we've got Joe. Andrea, I'm going to come to you first, seeing as you were here, mate. Give me your thoughts on the game. We spoke at half-time. I didn't expect that to happen, so I'm quite happy, if I'm honest, that we got a point. What are your thoughts, bro?
No, I agree. I listened to what you said, and I totally agree on everything. You know, I think it's good to get a point out of that. Looking at how the game, you know, the whole game at the 90 minutes. You know, I lucky, and yeah, honestly, I would have blocked Joseph on earlier, but you know, I think we'll talk about the substitution and more specifically on certain things later on. So yeah, happy with the point, honestly. Because we're still 1 point ahead of Leicester. Of course, they have a game in hand, but I don't think this match day is the decisive one. Honestly, I think Monday will be more critical. Honestly, because I think Leicester, Norwich, and Ipswich Saints, also Leeds, Hull City, three difficult games for all the top three sides. I think so. I think if the league changes, I think the Monday will be more important and critical, especially given the importance of the point. If we lost this game, honestly, Monday was even more monumental. But right now, we're still in the top two in the automatics, so 1 point ahead. And yeah, I think we're in a good position going into Monday, honestly, with this point, looking at the way the game flow, we didn't deserve to get probably anything from this game. Relied on one moment of brilliance from Somerville and one scrappy goal from Joseph, clinical finisher, in that occasion. So yeah, happy with the point, of course.
100%. Here's a bit of a damning indictment of my man Cooper as well. Johnny Cooper's just tweeted out to say, after Joe Rodon and Ethan Ampadu became our centre-back pairing in the 64th minute, Watford didn't have a single shot or touch in our penalty area and completed just 31 passes.
Dennis went off as well, which was a big factor in that as well.
100%. Evie, come on then, you're up next. Look, I know you said to me via text when you were coming on that you're fuming, so let's hear it.
Cooper will always be a legend, but anybody defending him after that shocking performance is out of their mind. They're looking through things with Bielsa-tinted glasses. He is not that player anymore. We need to move on from him, and Ampadu and Rodon being the incredible team that they have been over the last, 3 months proves that, and the fact that Meslier drops his game every time. It's what I've really noticed after kind of been able to watch the team this season. And he looks nervous every time he's passing to Cooper. He has full faith in Rodon and in Ampadu, and he doesn't with Cooper. Cooper got in. I actually think that Meslier could have saved the goal when he made a great save and then got across, and I genuinely think he got across enough to have got something on it, but Cooper got in the way. He tried to defend too late. He probably should have just left it for Meslier. I'm really disappointed with that performance. It was shocking. I don't think anybody, even Somerville, and I'm not taking away from how fantastic his goal was, his decision making when we could have got the second goal, I think in the first half, and all he had to do was cut it back. And instead he went for the extravagant trying to nip it in at the near post and beat the keeper when there was 3 other Leeds players running in. And to be honest, even if he just whacks it across the goal, it probably would have gone in off a defender. I just feel really angry after that game. I agree. I don't think we deserved anything from that game. I think Watford were the better team, although it always gives me like a wry smile when a time wasting team get it given to them right near the end, and they were time wasting. I'm sorry, but you're a few points off relegation and you're doing backflips, getting a goal, and you're probably now injured potentially for your next few games. So why would you do that? I just don't understand. The arrogance of that man infuriates me. It did in the Premier League and it does now. So you're not all that. You've had to leave Forest and go back to Watford. Like, you're nothing special. Well done. You look great in a shit team. Top job. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it was a dirty draw, but we didn't deserve anything, to be honest. And if we'd have lost that, we'd deserve to lose.
Yeah, let me just come in as well and just remind people as well that points won in the Championship since the start of 2024, Leeds 38, Ipswich 30. Still the form team, still unbeaten. Okay, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just on this as well, I don't need to defend him. I said he was at fault. I didn't say he was great. What I do dislike is when... And Evie qualified before she said anything. She said he's a legend. But it's when people are calling him shit. It angers me because the guy has been at this football club for 10 years. For me, yeah, you can call me Sentiment FC or whatever. It was sad tonight seeing him get subbed off and seeing us improve. That's a sad moment for me because it is the end, yeah? We knew it was anyway. I'm not sitting here saying he should stay past this season. You all know that. Me and Jer did a video and I said he needs to go. But just because I like someone, I didn't say he was good. I don't think he was at fault for the first, but everyone wanted to say Cooper. I'll have to watch it back. But the second he was. He got beat in the air too easy. Then he was asking for an offside when Rodon was playing him on. And then, Dennis did a step over, brought it inside. It's a great finish. He was all over the shot, but he'd just been beaten in the air too easily. I haven't sat here and said Cooper wasn't at fault. Just because I like him. Evie qualified his statement, he's a legend, but he's done. Right, okay, yeah. And I said that during the stream. It was sad to see him go off. You know, it is the end. But, yeah, he was not great. Do you know what I mean? Anyway,
can I say
go
just
on,
one
yeah,
thing?
please
very,
do.
very, very quickly. The one of the reasons I like to get on this show, is that if you follow us, if the player plays badly, we criticize him.
Yeah.
If a player plays good, we praise him. We look at the performances. We don't have agendas. That's one of the reasons I like to come on the show. So if you follow us, we always criticize players when they deserve criticism and praise them when they deserve praise. We try to be objective. There's no agendas. I can assure you personally, and I think for all the others. Absolutely.
100%. Let me come to Joe. You were up next, mate. I know you waded in on that actually as well, to be fair, but we don't have to talk about that. You just tell me about your thoughts on the game, bro.
Waited on what? I didn't hear that.
Hey? No,
I waited
right.
in on...
Just the Cooper stuff, yeah. Go ahead, mate.
Where do I start with this? Are we back to insulting our players again? Are we back to getting personal with our player? Have we dropped to that level again because there's some bellends doing it online? Yeah, can we knock it off? He's had a bad game. He's not been good, but let's not drag it down to that level of start insulting our players again. He's still a Leeds United player. He still has a history of Leeds United. He's still done an awful lot for Leeds United. Why can't people say that and then also say he's had a bad game? Can you not expand your vocabulary to that amount of words to be able to say that in one word, in one sentence, without having a personal dig at a person? Are we that poor at actually critiquing football that the only critique we can give is a personal insult? Is that the best we can do? Really? That's the best we can actually do. It's really disappointed with some people. He's had a bad game. He's had a bad game. But I'm going to make a point here. He doesn't pick the team. He didn't pick himself. He didn't put himself in that starting 11. The manager did. Daniel Farke got his lineup wrong tonight. That's the first thing that happened tonight. He tried to accommodate, and now we know what we get with Ilya Gruev. Now we know what is missing in that team when Ilya Gruev is in that side, because the amount of walking through the middle of the park that happened in that game, which doesn't happen when he's in the side. It just doesn't happen. But it wasn't just Cooper. It wasn't just Cooper. The team was dreadful in the first half. We had the ball in Watford's half in the first 20 minutes for 1% of the game. A single percentage, right? There was too many moves done tonight. We talked earlier on this year and praised Daniel Farke for not being the manager who moves everybody around to accommodate people. Tonight he did. There was too many moves. There was way too many moves. And that affected it. The obvious one was what happened when the substitutions happened. Archie Gray into midfield, Sam Byron right back, Junior Firpo left back, Ampadu centre back. Ethan Ampadu hasn't played in midfield for months. Expecting him to go in and be comfortable playing in there when he didn't play for Wales either during the week was also a mistake because it's a big game. Asking Liam Cooper to play in a game when he hasn't played for months, also not a clever move when you've got other options and other ways of doing that. Don't mess up your back four. Leave it. Because that's been so solid all season. We didn't concede a goal from open play since the turn of the year. Why mess with that back four? That's what I'm annoyed about. That's the only thing I'm annoyed about. Because that was the catalyst for everything that we did. I've been on this show, I don't know how many times. And I've said, when Leeds are playing with a slow tempo, we look a bang average side. And for the first 50 minutes, 55 minutes of that game, Leeds played at crawling pace. And we looked really average. It was too many touches, zero movement off the ball. When we did have the ball, nobody showing for it, nobody looking for it. At one point, Joe Rodon really runs the entire length of the park because there's nobody looking for the ball off him, which is hiding. And that's not good enough. And that's not this Leeds team. This was the most first half of the season performance that I've seen from this team since the turn of the year. Miles off it. As soon as the changes happen, all of a sudden the game gets back to what we were used to. Leeds start dominating possession again. I think they had 75% for the rest of the game. That's what we're used to. Leeds dominating the ball. We sat back. That's it. Just nuts. Paddy's getting some stick, and I'm not saying he's had a good game, and I'll clarify a few bits on this. First half, if you got 1% of the ball in the opposition half, what do you expect a number 9 to do with the ball? He hasn't got the ball, so there's that. Exactly. The second part of it was the second half. He wasn't good enough. Paddy wasn't holding the line well enough. He wasn't getting involved in the game enough. He wasn't doing enough for me, and that's a problem because when you're under the caution, you're trying to get the ball forward. Your number 9 needs to hold the ball up for you. Georgie was the same before he went off. Clearly The injury is 100% on him. So he didn't look himself at all. I thought Cree had a really, really good game. Just on Evie's point about him being selfish, he was selfish. However, you don't get to pick and choose when Cree has his moments of magic. If the ball goes in the top corner, you're waxing lyrical about him. So you take that with him. If he's going to bend the ball on top bins, when it doesn't go in, we can't criticize the player for them picking a different option. It's, he had a really good game tonight. He looked like he was back to himself. And he thought he was really good. The Joseph goal as well. He's had a fantastic involvement in that as well. And it's a smash at the goalkeeper, but it's enough to get the ball breaking into good area. So did well there. I'm annoyed at this as well. I'm being angry about it because it's the performance I'm angry about. I knew we'd drop points. We said we'd drop points, but the performance levels, what annoyed me, it just wasn't good enough from the start. It just too slow out of the blocks. Didn't look like we had any ideas on what we were doing, and it takes the changes to change it. But at least it changed it. Given how bad the first 50 minutes was, it's a really good point to come away with. That's the positive, is we get something 100%. Out of that and not nothing, because it didn't look for a while like we were going to get anything out of that. And then Jaden Anthony's unlucky that he can't finish it to get the winner. But it would have been a steal job, because we didn't do enough. Watford came out and had a go with us tonight, and fair play to them. They made a game of it for a lot of it. They were a better side for most of that, but we didn't turn up for 55 minutes.
Yeah, and do you know what as well? I will say, if Cleverley doesn't change his tactics, they probably win that game. I felt like he tried to defend what he had, and he helped Leeds into it, I felt anyway. But I do agree with you, Joe, in the respect that Farker admitted he got it wrong when he made the changes. Because we all said, oh yeah, grey midfield. He even said it in the presser. So he was in two minds, went with what he went with, and then thought, shit, I've got this wrong. Moved Ampadu back, Gray in midfield, and then Rutter off, who clearly, I wanted Rutter to start, but then he put Pirro there, and I'm not saying Pirro had a massive impact, because he didn't. He fucking ballsed up a couple of touches, but Farker admitted he got it wrong by switching it back. And yeah, like Chris says, Kamara wasn't great tonight, and maybe that's having that extra support of Gruyev alongside him, or so. Yeah, anyway, Lockie, thoughts, mate?
That looked like a team that was not really prepared for what they came up against today. I don't think we're expecting them to play back three for a start, and that's the second time they've done it this season. So when you come up against a back three, it's a completely different shape. I don't think we adjusted that. I don't think we knew what to do to adjust that. I think that was smart from Cleverley to change that up. He said in the before, didn't he, Cleverley, about he's had more preparation, as he said that in his press conference. He said that. So he's thought about it. He knows if he changes it up, it was man for man in midfield, and they won every single one of their individual battles in there. But what you do when it's man for man in midfield means there is space. If they're going man for man, there will be space. But the front players or the spare players didn't find that space. And when we got it at the back, we didn't find that space because they either weren't running in that space or there was nothing there. And that's when it results in Rodon running 30 yards with the ball at the pitch, which realistically you don't want. That's not ideal. So that we looked unprepared. We looked really unprepared, and we didn't adjust quick enough at all. We didn't know what to do. That's down to a lot of things. Obviously, we've got players out. We have players changing positions that they've not played in a long time, playing against a shape that you clearly were not prepared for. And it just looked really, really like we were, give it Cree, see if he can do something again. And I don't like it when we do that because look, what a finish, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that yet. That actual finish was class. That was ridiculous. But you can't rely on a moment like that to win a game. When they've got a player like Dennis, who's a smart footballer, he's played in the Premier League, just finding gaps, and we didn't know whether to go with him or the centre-back stayed there or stayed in defence. We didn't know what to do. And that was it. It was the understanding of the game for me. We didn't get to grips with it at all, really. When Dennis went off, I think that helped. They lost that threat up top. The guy who came out, I don't think he touched the ball. And then basically we brought two on up top, which allowed the centre-backs were occupied. Cree went 1v1 and then we destroyed him. Maybe that's something Farker can look at because when Cree did go 1v1 and he weren't doubled up, he destroyed him 3 or 4 times in the last 10 minutes. Yeah, I'll be honest, Joe, I've got a massive toothache, so I'm not going to speak for too long.
No, it's all right.
Struggling here, but yeah, unprepared. Look, we have to react to that. We've got a really hard week now a few days. And then we've got a week. We need to work hard these next few days to really graft and really understand what we need to do in the next game because it's going to be tough and it's a short turnaround again. We got a point. Look, it's weird when we get a point because we're so good this year. When we get a point, it just feels like a loss. But the point is fine. If we go win our next game and then we go to Hull or wherever we are the weeks after that and we continue what we left off, I'm absolutely fine with that. Players will be coming back slowly as well, which will help. Actually, as a positive, I thought obviously Matteo got his goal when he came on, looking sharp and dangerous, looking hungry as well, really hungry. I always loved that about him. And I thought Anthony was good when he came on. Look, there was that little, did he stamp on him or did he walk into him? I don't know. But he looked a bit angry today. And I quite like that in a player. He looked like he wanted to prove a point today. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see who comes back. We'll see who recovers. Farke, I think he'll admit there's one or two decisions. How long did we spend this week trying to figure out what lineup we could go with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he probably did that and got it wrong. And I'm sure he'll admit that. I'm sure he'll say these things he could change. And like Joe said, Gruev is a huge part of this side. That solid six, who is really good at rotating the ball, is key. And we didn't have that and we missed it. I thought Ampadu wasn't good today in midfield. Kamara wasn't good. Cree was good in moments. Rutter wasn't good enough. Patrick wasn't good enough. Dan James wasn't the best him, although he did try, put a lot of effort in. Yeah, the fullbacks didn't get forward enough at all. Again, that was down to the system. Confused. Do we go? Can we go? Can we not? Because they played high fullbacks, for example. Yeah, not good enough all around. Man for man. Simple.
I think the positive thing is like we were here against Huddersfield. There'll be some like in meltdown mode, but we drew against Huddersfield and then we went on and we're still unbeaten. You know, so
we're always going to drop points, Joe. We were always going to drop points, but it's just.
I say 100%. I said we were going to win every game, so I can't really say that.
I thought we dropped points, but I didn't. I thought I was going to looking at Coventry, maybe Southampton as the ones where we dropped them, but this is probably a bit too early. But it means we need to go and actually do something against Hull now.
Yeah, for sure. JT, you're up next, brother. How do you feel about it, mate? I'm quite interested to hear what you've got to say.
I'm glad I'm here with you guys. Actually, hearing you guys is actually kind of calming me down a little bit. I was actually fuming. I can't remember being this mad watching a match in my life. It was so frustrating. We were unable to string 4 or 5 consecutive passes together. Every time we got in and anywhere near their half, we were giving the ball straight back to them. I can't think of too many players other than really Somerville that I'm actually looking at. Like, you know, you actually covered yourself in glory. The midfield especially was embarrassing, pathetic. The fact that we're this where we are in the table and that you're playing like that. And I actually put that down to Farke and his team selection because, listen, first of all, okay, you got Gruev injured. Such a simple fix, and he figured out the fix moving in the 60th minute. Put Archie Gray in the midfield, who's played there. Why is he taking Firpo off? By the way, why is he getting him out? I don't think Firpo's been in fine form. He hasn't been doing anything.
He just played though, Dominican Republic, bro.
Doesn't matter, mate. I don't care if he's just played.
He only got back yesterday, mate. He only got back yesterday.
Oh, come on. I'd still rather have had him than what Byron was doing in that first half because Byron at left back as a right-footed player just doesn't work. And his positional awareness, I'm sorry, if Firpo was doing some of the things Byron did in that first half, driving forward, people would have been criticising him because that's another reason Cooper was having the trouble he did because Byron was out of position there. Cooper was committing himself way too far out of position, had no recovery pace to get back. It's 100%. Such a simple fix. Why would you change the defense that has been as good as it has? No goals conceded in open play in a year, and you change the centre-back partnership doing that and put a guy in who hasn't played in God knows how many months back there. Anyway, you guys have spoken about that ad nauseum. I'm not going to go back into that, but that is the reason, and I think that's actually why the midfield was so weak because there was a lot of times I was watching Ampadu. Yeah, he wasn't having a great game in the midfield because he was always looking behind him. He was always looking at Cooper out of position and having to cover him. He was having to track back so much to cover for Cooper. And if you're playing in central midfield, you want to have confidence at the defenders behind you that you can sit in the midfield, you can scan around you, you can look forward, you can try and control the game a little bit. He wasn't able to do that when he's having to look over his shoulder and cover for Cooper every 2 seconds. So I think Kamara was left to do a lot of the work in the midfield by himself, which is why he was getting completely overran there. And if you lose the midfield battle, generally in football, you lose the game. And I think that was the key area in which Leeds lost it. And because of that, because of the fact we had no control of the midfield, for those reasons I stated, they were able to keep driving at us, keep putting pressure on Cooper, keep putting pressure on Byram, and exploit us. They exploited gaps and vulnerabilities that were there for everyone to see. Stevie Wonder could see that them scoring was only a matter of time in that first half there. Dennis was embarrassing them back there. But, you know, there were a couple of positives, at least I could look at. Joseph is the main one. I think for me, Liz, Joseph got to either start or come on very early in the second half against Hull for me, because his pace in behind, the threat he was offering us with those runs in behind, I can't remember. Listen, I know I've been very praiseful for Bamford for his runs in behind and the ability to stretch defenders. He's never done it that well this year. That different level of pace and energy that Joseph was offering us almost got us a couple of goals there. We really should have nicked it at the end, I feel, there, because he was causing them so many problems. And against Hull, he's got to play for me either starting or off the bench. I thought Somerville back to his best. I thought he was phenomenal. You say he was potentially selfish, but I think that's what makes him so great. I think there's not enough selfish players in that team, because so many times I saw us, especially with Dan James or whoever it may be, getting into the final third, and instead of being selfish, instead of deciding to drive through, instead of deciding to take someone on, they decide to turn sideways, turn backwards, pass, cut it back. How many times did we go backwards? You meant to go backwards to go forwards. We're going backwards to go sideways. What the hell are they playing at, man? It's just reverse football, killing every single bit of momentum we had. And it was the same story time and time again. I thought Somerville was a bright light. I thought, Joseph was a bright light. I thought Rutter had a couple of decent spells, but he's not fit, man. He's not fit. And it's dangerous, because if we're not going to have him fit for the next couple of games, I really don't think he should start against Hull on Monday, to be honest. I think he needs the time to rest and recover. How do we survive without him? Because we really didn't have a lot of creativity. Perot, I'm not even trying to jump on him. Joseph can't play. He's not a creative midfield player.
I'll try him there, mate, honestly.
You try him in the 10.
Yeah, I think he can play there.
Put Cree in there, I think you put.
I'd put Somerville there. Somerville's the only option for me in the 10. And then Jaden Anthony, actually, I have to say, if I'm going to talk positive, I thought Jaden Anthony, when he came on, actually was very impressive, and he offered us something that Dan James really wasn't offering us on that side. So I'd potentially, as you said, put Somerville in the 10 and Jaden Anthony on the wing. But overall, as I said, I think it's 2 points dropped. Yes, I feel a little bit more positive. The fact we drew, there's a bit more uplifted spirit, but at the end of the day, it's out of our hands now. It's completely out of our hands, and that is the scary thing. We're relying on other people again.
Yeah, we'll be fine, though. We'll be fine, man. Don't worry.
You said this before, man. You conned me into thinking we were going to win every game for the rest of till 2025, mate.
That's your fault for believing, Joe, mate. That's all on you.
Bloody passion merchant, I tell you.
I know. Look, at the end of the day, we haven't lost up. But what I will say, and I feel like I always have to say this before I just... When Joseph comes on and impacts the game, a lot of it's due to game state. A lot of it's due to tired legs. This has to be taken into consideration. A lot of it's due to the fact that Watford have dropped back and all that sort of stuff. Joe, you put your hand up before we go to Luke. Go on, mate.
I think Mateo Joseph is seriously banging on the door now at this point.
100%. I am, but I'm saying... If Joseph is starting out, is he going? He's not doing that for 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
You know where I am with this. I agree with what we said about Bamford before. Starting the game with Bamford makes more sense, but I think Joseph is starting to show that he's pushing on, and he's at a point now where he's starting to get to a stage where, Bamford looked a little leggy tonight. I don't know why he looked. They all did. Every player across the park looked leggy tonight. And even the one thing you expect from Bamford are the big runs in behind. When the ball was going in, there was an awful lot of players just standing watching the ball dribble out of play. When if someone had just ran after the ball, you probably keep it in play. We had possession, but we stood and watched, and he did that a lot tonight. And the hands in the air, which is kind of again early season path stuff, which I don't like seeing that. But that's because of the frustration across the entire side. But I think when Paddy plays like that, and then Joseph comes on and has the impact he has as a manager, you're looking at that going, maybe I take one out and put one in now for the next game. And I think that it's given Daniel Farkas something to think about now, because Joe's got 2 goals in a week, one for Spain under 21s and now for Leeds. 2 goals against Chelsea.
Off the bench both times, though. Off the bench.
It's true. True, but come here, he's an impact player and he is that. But he did get 2 against Chelsea when he started. But you don't get to see what he's going to do unless you actually take the chance and pull the plug on him. That's going to be the decision.
No, it's interesting though, Jay, on that, because Bamford didn't come off with Joseph. They both stayed on.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Joseph,
play Bamford in the 10.
Go on, Luke.
Ironically, he'd be very similar to what Pirro gives you in the 10. He'd be coming short and getting the ball and trying to link the play. But I thought Pirro was
nothing. Then I'm sorry, I'm only joking. I've had a beer. look, it was certainly a game of 2 hours. I thought the second half we were by far and wide the better side. Once we'd made a couple of changes and things as well. I think balls and props to Daniel Farke for recognising that Cooper was the weak link. I mean, it wasn't difficult to recognise, and look, it wasn't difficult to recognise. He had a poor performance today, but just going back to what Jay said, well said, mate. We're not stooping back to that level. We're still unbeaten this calendar year. You know, we're going down to player bashing and all that. Come on, mate, do better. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think first half we looked so off it. I expected it as well. You know, I've had thoughts running through my head all day. Just expected it, just with all the Wales stuff going on, the injuries and everything. I expected a laboured performance, and that's exactly what we got. Couple of changes, and I think game state's probably the best way of putting it, Joe. Bringing these players on and saying the impact that they've had in a game, it is all down to game state. They're running at tired legs. They're running at players that are on the back foot rather than pressing. It is very difficult to find a parallel between them, because you're almost comparing. I know it's the same game and the same players, but we're almost trying to compare apples and oranges, you know, realistically, because it is that the game state makes the game so different from one minute to the other. So, yeah, I think there was. I think we should have been beating Watford. I think we should have been beating Watford, but after that first half, I would have snapped your hand off for a point. Snapped your hand off. JT, can't say I fully agree about a Joseph start. I think he's been great, and I think he did great at Chelsea. I don't think this is the time for throwing somebody in and expecting something, you know, because it could go one way or the other. It could go fantastically, and he bags 10 goals between now and the end of the season, or he could flop, and that's just going to dent his confidence further. You know, it's working what's going on with him at the moment. Stick to it, you know.
But potentially put him on the 45th minute, though. Would you agree?
Maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe a little bit earlier if things aren't working. Yeah, I mean that's a whole different argument and a conversation around Farke and his timing and substitutions, I suppose. But yeah, look, I'm a lot happier now taking a point out of that game than I would have been sat here losing to Watford 2-1. You know, there's a lot to be said for momentum, and I think we will take a lot of momentum out of the last sort of 15-20 minutes of that game, because we could have quite easily won it. And yeah, look, it'll all be forgotten about with Beetle on Monday. So I'm always a glass half full type person, and yeah, just moving on to the next. You know, there was a lot of shite. There was a lot of shite out there, but I think it was a lot of tiredness and a lot of things involved.
100%. Tom Cleverley's been speaking and said we were the best side for 65 minutes. I can't say I disagree. I'm very proud of them. Brave in possession, playing with that much intensity. It's hard to hold on against a side like Leeds. And he also went on to say who have the best player in the league in Crysencio Somerville. So he's admitting that fact. Jay, over to you, mate. Thoughts, brother? Or Chris? Which do you prefer?
We'll stick to Jay for now, I think. We'll stick to Jay. Yeah, I mean, on paper, we should have been beating Watford, but many of us have said it in the last sort of week or two. We were never going to win every game. It's Championship. It just doesn't work like that. And you have nights like that. And to have played the way we did for sort of 55 minutes and to not have lost that game, at the end, I was kind of like, yeah, it's 3 points drop, 2 points drop, because we had all that momentum at the back end of the game. But it was just at the back end of the game, you know, we didn't do enough for the majority of that game. We didn't do enough when we were on top. We didn't make chances count. And I can't be mega upset at a point on the road in a run-in like this. You know, it's not a terrible result as long as we do our job in other games. It's just, you know, at the end, it felt like we were pressing and we could have got that goal. And I was disappointed, yeah, definitely. But on reflection, I'm not gutted. Whereas if we had lost the game, that would have felt like a disaster. It would have felt like an absolute disaster. Yeah. But as it is, we maintain our momentum. We maintain our unbeaten run. We haven't been beat in this calendar year still in the league. So we keep that going, and stuff like that is important in these run-ins. It's so important. The psychological aspect is, at this point, probably more important than the actual footballing aspect, in my opinion. I think it does boil down to that and who handles it best. Yeah. I were gutted to see Cooper start, as I thought that was a bad sign. I just don't trust the guy anymore. Great captain, but for me, he's just not at the level we need at this point. He'd run himself into the floor try. Like there'd be no end of effort from him. He cares. He loves the club. You know, he wants to do well. But it's time. It's time to put him out for retirement, I think. But yeah, I mean,
send him over the Rainbow Bridge, Jay.
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus
you know, he'll know he will.
We are though.
He'll know he will
keep saying it. Everyone keeps saying it. We need to move on from him. We need to move on. We are moving on from him. He's out of contract at the end of the season. We can't move on from him right now. You know what I mean? He's still part of the squad at the end of the season. But we are moving on from him. He has got a new contract.
In fact, he's arguably fourth choice left defensive centre back after Ampadu. No, sorry, third after Ampadu and Pascal, isn't it?
I was glad that Farker held his hands up and changed it. I were a little bit surprised as well, if I'm honest. I didn't think that he would. But we just looked loads better after that. And Dennis going off for them as well were a big factor too. I mean, yeah, he was. Somerville looked like his old self tonight. And like I know you guys were saying something before I got on about him being selfish, but the best attacking players are because they believe in themselves. They back themselves. They want to score, and if they can't score, then they'll set somebody up. Do you know what I mean? That's what players like that are. If you're a special talent, you have a little bit of arrogance that you carry with you. You know, you have to have that confidence. So I'm not upset that he can be selfish. I'm all right with that. He put some good balls in tonight, and he were an absolute thorn in their side. I mean, Dan James in comparison worked really hard, but nothing really came off for him. Kamara worked really hard, and you could tell he were giving it his all in there. But yeah, changes are always a worry, and I'm not massively shocked that we didn't win this game tonight. No, and Joseph, by the way, looked quality when they came on. But yeah, agree with you guys about game state and coming on late and stuff.
I think like tonight, I think Byram was poor. I think Cooper was poor. I think they were the.
Kamara. Worst game of the season for me for Kamara tonight. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Compared to the other ones.
It were trying. It just wasn't
it was trying.
Oh yeah, I mean, come here. I don't think any of them weren't trying. I think even Dan James was working his socks up, but he looked knackered. Yeah. But I think if you look at what's been really good about Leeds since the turn of the year, partnerships. There's been these set partnerships throughout the team, and like you got the two in midfield, you got the two centre backs, you've got the left full and left winger and Cree and Firpo. You on the right hand side, you've got Archie and Dan James. And then you go into tonight's game, and all of those partnerships have all been broken up in one game.
It's like Football Manager when you get the green lines between your players because they're playing together.
It's how they gel. They're used to playing with each other. You know, people keep mentioning game states, but like these players are used to playing in a certain situation, like in a certain scenario where Firpo gets the ball on the left, gets it off, receives the ball off Ampadu. He opens his body up. He goes down the wing to Cree. Cree goes inside to Rutter, and then you change that up, and you've got a right footer, as JT always says, you've got a right footer playing on the left, and he gets the ball on the wrong side, then he cuts inside, and all of a sudden that partnership's broken straight away. And it's the same on the right hand side as well. But like there were players that looked really. Dan James looked knackered tonight. I mean, and a lot of tiredness isn't just necessarily in the work that they do. A lot of tiredness comes down to decision making as well. When your body is tired, your brain is tired. You know, you second guess. How many times did Dan James check back on himself tonight and not pass the ball when, you know, a couple of weeks ago he'd be passing the first time and tearing off down the line where it was touches. Rutter the same, the amount of touches they were taking before they actually looked to release the ball and they were getting caught in possession. That's a tired head as well. That means the body is tired, the brain is tired, you're not making the right decisions. So there's a freshness there. The point that everyone else keeps making, and I think it's a really, really good point, the fact that Daniel Farke made that decision to take Liam Cooper off, which is it's a big move for a manager, because as a manager, you're looking at a player who has given an awful lot and you respect as a manager. And Liam Cooper, whatever anybody thinks about him, most of those players have a lot of respect for him in that dressing room, and they all talk about his impact in the dressing room. For the manager to be able to take him off in that game, it's a big decision, and it's a bold move for him as well. And, you know, and for Cooper to go off and do it the way he did, there was no sulking, there was no bullshit, just went off, handed the armband off, and off he went.
He almost had a look, Joe. He almost had a look of he knows. Yeah, he knows he's not at that
I thought that. I feel
for him. And I do feel sorry, because you hate to see that at the end of a player's career. You kind of want them to move on the right way. You don't want to see that happen, you know. But see, I thought he'd be fine, because he was fine against. He was okay against Chelsea. I thought he'd be fine tonight, but I think maybe just the gap in performances isn't enough. I mean, it's also tough for a player to come in when you're not playing all the time.
It wasn't only him, Joe, was it?
It's
you know what I mean?
It's
very few players that did everything well.
It's bigger than just hooking Liam Cooper as your defender off. You're hooking your captain.
Yeah.
That's
Cool captain.
significant. Takes
Yeah, it's cool
balls.
captain. It does. But then you look at the partnerships then being formed straight away by that. Ampadu goes back in with Rodon. Junior Firpo goes in back in left back. Ampadu goes,
You've got your green lines back.
All of a sudden, the green line, exactly. All of a sudden, everyone knows.
Stop referencing Football Manager, Jay. We're better than that, man.
It's bringing a lot of recency, probably.
Why does it upset you so much?
Just because these are the type of people I have arguments with daily on Twitter.
It's great. Victor Orta used it for all his scouting on Cumberland.
That worked out well, didn't
That's all
it?
he used Twitter for, arguing with FM virgins.
I
One
forgot
thing
to say,
that-
by the way. Oh, go on, Evie. Sorry.
That's all right. One thing I would say is that going back to Dan James and decision making, Dan James wasn't doing Dan James today. Dan James looked like he was attempting to be Nonto today. He was doing a lot of cutting in instead of running. Like he usually kicks the ball, runs past, goes right to the byline and cuts it back for the Bamford ball, essentially. And I don't think, or I think maybe he did that once in the entire game. And he was cutting in and then dribbling it into midfield. And then the fact that Watford was so compact, he then wasn't able to do it. He would then lose it. He would then get downhearted about kind of losing it. And then it would all of a sudden, they'd start countering. And then he wasn't in the position to help Archie Gray out. So Archie got caught out a lot of times, especially in that first half. And that for me all came down to Dan James not being Dan James, because I've really complimented Dan James in his defensive duties. And I'm not saying he did poorly. It's just he wasn't where he usually is, glued to that kind of right wing, ready to help Archie if needed. And because of that, it made Archie very vulnerable tonight. And that is where, very few attacks came directly through the middle. It was usually, through one of the wings, either past Byram and Cooper or past Archie. And a lot of the time they did the switch over the top, big diagonal ball where Archie kind of should have been, or Dan James usually is there helping, and Dan James was out of position. So I think Dan James actually affected the play more negatively than you would assume, because obviously he's an attacking player and we can all blame, the defensive shake-up. And I do agree that that's massive, because I think that other than Rodon, the defence cost us at least a point, if not both points today. Because actually the attack, once we got the ball up there, were very good, but we just didn't get it up there enough. And that, for me, comes from the fact that we couldn't play our usual style of playing out from the back, because we just couldn't do it. Meslier doesn't trust Cooper to do that. Jer, I think you said about the fact that Ampadu was having to come back and cover Cooper. So you had two players covering Cooper a lot of the time, which then meant that they couldn't do their own jobs. They couldn't progress the ball because they were having to babysit. And I don't mean that to sound as cruel as that probably comes out, but
like looking after your granddad to make sure you don't fall over.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't agree with any personal attacks on it.
On off this stream, you son.
I'm going to back to you when I see
Criticize the performance, not the person.
Exactly. I don't think anybody, other than, I actually thought Firpo was really good. I think, the fact that JT has constantly, you've said about the left-footed player playing with Somerville down that left wing, it does make a massive, a massive impact. And I've seen quite a few people in the chat saying that I was like harsh, and saying we were the much better team in the second half, but
not the whole game.
We weren't. We just had the ball a lot, but they gave us the ball because that was what they were doing. In the first half, they didn't allow us to have the ball. In the second half, they allowed us. Possession for possession's sake is not good football. It's just a waste of statistics. Like, yes, we did 500 and something passes and they did 300 and something passes. But up until that last kind of manic 5 minutes, they were more efficient with their passes. So possession doesn't get everything. Possession doesn't win you a game. So many times where we've seen teams in this league, the games that we've lost, where we've had 70 odd, exactly. So it doesn't actually get you anything. And it frustrates me that people qualify that as playing well. It's not. You can pass the ball around, but we did so many backwards passes.
100%. Farker, I agree with you, Evie. 100%. I don't think we were great until later on. Farker's reaction, he says, "Tell you what, I'll take this point all day long. I'm really, really happy. I didn't want to speak like this before the game, but we played it at the worst possible moment. Watford, a new manager, a new belief. For us, the break was the worst outcome." He did go on to say that if training didn't matter, we would just show up for games. Training matters. It makes a big difference. We needed to come to our rhythm, i.e. no one's been around the fecking gaff. And he did say Nonto is out for 3 weeks. Connor Roberts is out for 3 weeks. And Gruev hopefully will make Monday's game, but we're not too sure yet. So them two being out, it's a big loss.
Like a bulletin.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's mad how much of a cog Gruev has become now, because it's allowed Ampadu obviously to move. It's a real key aspect of the style of play that we're hoping to achieve and how we play. And just on that performance tonight, you can see alone there that actually having to just reshuffle things. There was a few changes, but they weren't wholesale. But having to move Ampadu into midfield, which is a preferred position, meant having to bring. Obviously, if Strike was here, then would probably he would probably have been playing at left centre back. But yeah, I'm already over it, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm not. You know what I mean? And I'm still arguing while we're on here now. I'm still arguing with people on Twitter about Cooper. I'm still doing it.
That was an argument.
What a man! What a man!
Just because there's some, I've worn my Scotland shirt tonight in solidarity with League One, Liam.
You can't help it, can you? You love a bit of aggro.
It's when you're calling him names, man. Why do you need to call him names?
Yeah, you don't need to.
You don't need to do that. The guy's a legend. That's what angers me.
You don't have to be personal. It's all right to say he didn't play well or he's not up to the standard now. Don't say.
It's not even his fault, as you said before. He didn't put himself in the starting lineup. But when you say we have to shift things around, the only thing I don't understand is we have a ready-made central midfielder to fit in there that stops us from Ampadu. We've all been screaming for Gray to get some minutes in the middle of the park. Is this not the perfect opportunity to give Gray minutes in the park?
That would have happened if Roberts weren't injured.
I will get that.
Of course. It's the whole Firpo thing. You say you don't trust him to play 90 minutes because he's just come back. So fair enough, but still.
I think he's protecting him from, because if he ends up in a situation where Firpo comes on, pulls a muscle because his body's not recovered properly, then you're missing him for a much longer period of time. You're kind of hoping your team can get you through 60 minutes without having to bring him on the park. I get the reason behind it, but at the same time, you've got to right back in Sam Byron, put him right back.
But even then, I still would have rather. Even if we had to put Byram left back, or even Shackleton left back, or Shackleton right back. I know he hasn't been great when he's played fullback. I really hasn't been bad. But I would have much rather him play fullback, put Archie Gray in midfield, and kept Ampadu centre back. I think there was quite a few different options he could have done.
I don't think you can change that centre back pairing again. I think that needs to stay.
It should be a last resort. Should be a last resort. Centre back pairing.
Not without Strike. There's no way.
Exactly. Stroke will come in fine, but he won't. But the other thing that's important, and Groove has been mentioned an awful lot. We were trying to pick our best 11 this year, and we're trying to argue whether Groove should be in the team or Ampadu in the middle of the park. But what's become very, 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 very apparent, and we think we said at the time as well, there's certain players you notice when they're not in the team more so than you notice when they are in the team, because the team just ticks over when they're playing. Then you take them out, all of a sudden you realize what they've given this team, because all of a sudden things don't work as well as they were doing before. And I think one of the big things in the middle of the park as well is, because Glenn Kamara's performance has been mentioned as well, Ilie Groove playing as a natural out and out 6 gives Glenn Kamara freedom to go and play. The fact that wasn't there today, and because Ampadu, again, on the questions on Cooper, why Cooper was as high as he was at times, I was unsure. But he was in the same space as Ampadu, and sometimes Ampadu was behind him, which meant you weren't playing with a natural 6. It was all over the place, and Kamara just wasn't going anywhere because of that. He was staying there to try and make sure the gaps were covered, but it just became, instead of concentrating on what you're trying to do when you've got the ball, you're trying to make sure that the team is okay when you haven't got the ball, and your concentration is in a very different part of the game. And And that causes problems. That's probably why we didn't kick a ball pretty much for the first 25 minutes, because we're all just looking around wondering, is everyone okay? Are we all in the right place? Is everyone got the right shape? And then you're not focusing on what you're doing, you're focusing on the opposition too much. And Leeds need to be more about what they do and what they do well.
Was that? Do we think this is down to Farke's selection, or do we actually think it was more down to actually what he had available? Because I wouldn't be playing somebody who got for playing yesterday. I wouldn't
put Shackleton in. Put Shackleton in, like I said.
Shackleton's not played much.
Yeah, but it still would work better than changing a centre-back partnership. The one thing you don't do is change the centre-back
hindsight's
partnership.
No. I don't agree with that. I think hindsight's wonderful and very easy to suggest that, especially when how Cooper played at Chelsea, had a decent game. You know, he's done a decent job. Who was to know he was going to have a howler? He wasn't the only one, by the way, JT. You know,
no.
Farke picked a team based on his best available, based on their condition. I assume, based on their overall condition. I'm guessing here. I'm completely guessing, but I assume that he's picked the best 11 available to him in certain positions based on their condition. And there was nobody really at 100%. Let's be real. So what he's done, Junior Firpo's probably at 60%, 70%. He's just got off a plane from the other halfway around the world. You don't put somebody in and start him over somebody who's been in training all week. Surely.
No, but I think the argument is, again, back to the partnerships pieces, you don't change the centre-back too. You leave them alone because they've again, they're a centre-back partnership that haven't conceded a goal from open play since the turn of the year. Your whole form coming into the second half of the season been built on that partnership at the back. Your spine of your team is what's doing. And we talked about defenses winning the titles, where, you know, attacks win your game, to defenses win your titles. That was a massive decision to make, to change that backline. Like, that was a huge decision to make. And the knock-on impact of that one change has the ripple effect then into the midfield partnerships and their effectiveness and what they've had before.
I'd much rather have taken the risk of having a dodgy fullback with Shackleton there than having dodgy centre backs.
With hindsight, though, he tried to make a decision.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
And he got it wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but that's what we do, though. You know, we look at a team before the game and you go, great, let's hope we can win the game. And then afterwards, you look back on it and you analyze what you've looked at, and then you look back at the game and go, well, that was a mistake to do that. But that's why we're not the managers. That's why we don't get paid the money he gets paid to pick that, and he puts his neck on the block when he does it. I'm not criticizing Daniel Farke this season. I'm just saying, from a partnership perspective, I think there was too many partnerships broken up today, and that's caused that's changed the fluidity of that team.
It's also vital, you know, the fact that, you know, we need to recover Gruyev for Monday at least, because if you don't have Gruyev and you play, like, for example, Kamara and Gray, your first midfielder off the bench, if you consider Shackleton because you're short on fullback still, you know, with Roberts out, is basically Charlie Crew.
Well, who's your defensive midfielder?
Right now.
Who's your defensive midfielder?
Just to jump in, folks.
That's the problem.
Just to jump in. So Farke has said he felt, so he's defending. I felt I had no choice but to break up the Ampadu-Rodon pairing tonight. I didn't feel Firpo could start after his late return, and saw Gray, Rodon, Cooper, Byram as the back four he had to go for. And he admits he didn't like changing the partnership, but obviously Firpo. Yeah,
he didn't try.
So
he arrived from the intercontinental flight yesterday. Yeah.
If you don't break the partnership up, who is playing in that CDM? Who's playing that six?
That's the issue then.
That's the only. So I get in that.
The changes were playing without a defensive midfielder.
The changes were just too focused on the core. That was the problem.
It was the spine of the team was changed completely. Outside of Bamford and Rutherford, the spine of the team was changed.
He's admitting he got it wrong there, isn't he?
That's okay. Yeah,
that's
nothing wrong.
Yeah, listen, we're criticizing him. We're criticizing him for his decisions. You know, not criticizing him personally. We're not saying he's a terrible manager. He's done a good job. I could still come out and say, listen, I wouldn't have changed the spine of the team. But yeah, I'm not hating the guy personally. He's human. We all make mistakes.
We still got a point.
If Jaden Anthony had scored, if Jaden Anthony had scored, we wouldn't be having these conversations right now.
I think actually, you know what? To Falk's credit,
it brings not in this depth, not a chance. Not in this depth. We wouldn't. You know, maybe and that's what we're here for.
Oh no,
that's what we're here to dissect it. But look, it is what it is, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you're happy, you don't complain.
It worries me
like that, you know, Anthony, because Anthony's out now for 3 weeks now. Anthony has to take his chance, you know, because he'll be there.
Yeah.
It worries me that to see like such a poor bit of judgment, but it gets most stuff right. So you're allowed an off day.
I don't think it was that poor. Another day it works. Cooper's played before and he's played well.
Maybe it does, mate. Maybe
But
it
if
does.
the players play to their best of their ability, he gets away with it. They didn't. And that's the
Yeah,
Again,
problem.
it's the hindsight thing.
The
Isn't it?
level.
Too many
of course
6
it
out of
is.
10s today.
Yeah,
Less
that's
than
the
that.
problem.
Yeah.
Look at every professional studio that does analytics for sport, right? Look at Sky Sports, TNT, The Zone, all of them. What did they do when the match is over? They analyze what happened a minute ago. So they're always looking back on it in hindsight. It's all football is all about that. You think what's going to happen by looking forward, but then you look back and make decisions on it. And Farke will do that now coming into the whole game. He'll have to look at tonight and go, what went right? What didn't go right? What do we do? What's the best we can come out with again against Hull at home? It's a different game. It's at home. It's a very different atmosphere. But he'll have to look at this and he'll have to look at the performance and go, well, who starts? And I think you're likely to see. And to Lockie's point, and I think it's a really good point, with Gray and Kamara in the middle of the park, you don't have a natural defensive midfielder. So Leeds will have to play slightly differently anyway, because that's a different partnership regardless. Kamara may have to sit more, and that's just going to have to be how it is.
I was going to ask that on that, Joe.
We didn't lose, correct? Yeah, we did.
Say the game in a few days, we have the same problem. Grave's still injured. How do we change it then?
That's why I'm a good-looking bastard, Stephen.
And we'll go back into centre back. Who are we playing in midfield?
But then you have to look at someone like Charlie Crew to see if he can step up and get his opportunity. But again, when you've got a team that's been doing as well as we've been doing since the turn of the year, everyone has to wait for their opportunity. Everyone has to wait for that moment that somebody gets injured and they get their chance, because no one's getting dropped when you're playing well. So the only chance you have of getting into the team is if someone gets injured, come in and make your point. And as already been said, Anthony's got a fantastic opportunity in right side of midfield. If Charlie Crew gets the nod, look, a lot of people think he's not far off being ready for it, but if he gets the nod to come in, he has an opportunity to make a mark and show people what he can do. And that all of these players are the same. They all have to wait for that moment. And when they get it, take it. Tonight, players got opportunities and didn't take them. So we'll have to move on.
Yeah, and Farke recently plays one of the players of the academy actually that he would have had. He said he would have had already his opportunity into the first team if he wasn't injured. So that's the link to
Does Cooper's performance tonight bump Charlie Creswell up or wrong?
No, wrong side of the park.
No.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
back up for road on.
Yeah,
Right
he's
centre
back
back.
up for Road on. This is
Yeah,
what I mean.
but does it really matter?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does massively.
Does it?
Because we've seen Pascal Stroke play right centre back and it's not pretty. But
But do you want a
a
left footer there who plays poorly or a right footer who might play well?
No,
You're not
I don't
guaranteed
think
if
he would
that's
play well.
You see Mercy Cooper from
It looks like Ampadu's going to be there anyway.
Yeah,
Hopefully, yeah. I'm just interested in what people thought.
yeah.
Ideally, if you've got a natural left foot and a natural right foot, you play them on the right side. Ideally. If you don't, you just go to
Oh
the
yeah,
right
if you can, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just gonna delete that comment. But yeah, I probably would, Paul, in all honesty, mate. But there you go. No need for that, is there, pal?
What did he say? No, never mind. We'll talk after.
Can I just quickly go before you move on, Joe? Because I can see you're itching to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But there's a question that I just.
See you later, Evie. I'm just kidding.
There's a question I just thought I'd put to everybody. So obviously, Leicester dropped points, Southampton dropped points, and we dropped points. But out of us and Southampton, who's feeling better right now?
Us. Southampton.
We're unbeaten.
Yeah, because no, but Southampton also obviously they were winning up until the 85th minute, and then Middlesbrough equalised. So then, yes, we've dropped points, but we dropped points. We gained points from getting nothing, whereas Southampton dropped 2 points from having 3 points for the majority of the game. So mentally, we are still in the better position. And obviously, I know they've got games in hand, but and I know a lot of people are wanting Ipswich and Southampton to draw. I want Southampton to win because I expected them to win today's game and then draw on Monday. So now I want a Southampton win on Monday because then we go back into the driving seat if we win our game on Monday, because it then puts that gap in the way. So for as much as it was not a good, it wasn't a good game, mentally we're still in a better position than 3 out of the 4 other teams.
Yeah.
We still go into the driving seat if we win and Ipswich draw though.
Yeah.
But that's the key, is it's not in our hands anymore, though.
It's just that it then creates a bigger gap then between us and Ipswich if they drop 2 points instead of just drop 3 points, instead of just 2.
I think, like I say, I think, yeah, at the end of the day, Ipswich were the only winners today. Everyone else, cool. Leicester, the losers, other than Southampton. Yeah, I agree with you, Evie, I agree. Do we think this is going to, listen, this isn't going to have any lasting impact. We play Hull City on Monday. We beat them, right? We're back at Ellen Road. We're unbeaten. It is what it is.
Hull's a lot more of a tough test than Watford.
What?
No, it's not.
Hull that got beat at Stoke. They're shit, man. I hate
They've
all
grown
this
5 and won one and lost one.
Yeah, man, we'll beat them.
No, they're a good side. They're a good side.
Where they cup final.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight.
No, we'll beat them, man. We'll beat
I don't
them.
get
Nice
this.
to get a reality check every now and then, and that's if today is the reality check. We've seen Leeds bounce back from the Huddersfield game with results. So if this is the little bit of a reality check that we need before the run in, and again, if it just levels us out a little bit, get back to hard work, it's not the worst result in the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm not mega worried, but they're a decent side.
Yeah, no, they
in
are.
their
But what
last
I'm saying
6,
is like,
haven't won for 5.
exactly.
Hull in their last 6, they beat Southampton. They've drawn against West Brom, Preston, Birmingham, and Leicester, and then beaten by Stoke. Why is everyone so worried?
They'll have cup final for
We're
you.
unbeaten.
Cup final.
I don't care. We're at
It's an air
home.
placement.
I think
Fair
we'll
play.
win, Luke. I just
Look,
think
I don't think they're shit, but
write them off.
Leeds fans are just proper gassing them up like they're the second coming, and they're not. They're okay.
That's
I know
'cause
I
we're
have. Can you still hear
shitting
me, though?
ourselves.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, but the way they play, I think it's something that they try to play similar style of football than Watford in the first half. You know, with the high pressing. You know, if you remember the game at the how is it called now, Casey Stadium. And
I will have anybody in this chat a 20 quid bet that we beat them.
Yeah,
You can have the
we
draw.
will.
You can have the draw. You can have the draw. You can have the draw and Hull.
I think it's going to be tight.
Yeah, we're going to
Not going to
be
be that time. I'm going to hammer them 3-0, 4-0.
nice. Love that. Listen, folks, we've done an hour. We've all spilled it out. We move on now, don't we? Do you know what I mean? We move on and we go to Monday. We're still unbeaten. That's the most important thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, we move on. We move on. Give it to Tony the Tiger and all that, and we go back top. You know what I mean? Ipswich have got to play Southampton. That's a big one. That is such a big game. So let's hope that draw or something, and we end back on top.
Leicester, Norwich too difficult for them.
Exactly, and Ipswich have got to play Norwich, by the way, and they haven't beaten them for 9 years, by the way, folks. Just
Ipswich were
15 at Carroll Road.
15, sorry.
Norwich
15 or
Yeah.
16 at Carroll Road.
Yeah, Blackburn should have got something, mate. Blackburn should have.
Smolik should have scored. Smolik should have scored.
Yeah.
That ref was terrible for
Two
Blackburn.
disallowed.
Yeah, we live to fight in
The rest of the Championship Cup. We do, yeah. Move on. Take the point. Move
Necromancer,
on.
I haven't gone too early. I'll tell you now. With Jess, Leeds United are being champions. Like you've dropped. This is what I don't understand. Right, we've dropped 2 points. We're still unbeaten, and you think that's gonna shake this resolve? Don't be silly.
What did Farkas say again? Win at home, draw away. You'll be on 92 points at the end of the season. You should be getting promoted.
Yeah,
That's the job. Drew tonight, away from home. Win on home on Monday night. Keep moving on.
Kevin, you haven't put one in, bro. You haven't put one in. I've got them all in front of me, bro. You haven't put one in, so I can read out your comment though if you want, bro. But you definitely haven't put one in, broski. Maybe you've done it wrong, pal. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I think
Are you
we
tired,
move on.
Joe?
Mate, I've
It's
been.
been a long day.
What a day.
Fucking
What a
long
day.
day. Long day. Look at that face.
Hardest
What's
working
going on
Leeds
there?
United YouTuber now.
He's gonna sleep tonight.
Yeah, man. I'm up at
Mate,
6 a.m.
mate, the best thing that happened today was when the dogs came in and they were going nuts. One of the best things I've seen on a podcast in a long time. The way you jumped up and went, what are you doing? And you could hear it, dog, and it sounded like that video I've seen on Instagram with that devil dog, that white chihuahua with red eyes. It's like, they were going crazy. They were brilliant, mate. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm up at 6 as well. I'm going for a hike, but so make sure people you all go to these great content creators. JT will have a post match out, no doubt. He'll have watch along highlights, goal reactions. Andrea on Twitter. Evie, is your channel up yet?
Not yet. I've got woman flu.
Okay.
That's not a real thing, maybe. Come
Yeah,
on, get real.
Of course it is. It's just the more hardcore version where you've got to power through and you can't just, wallow in your bed all day.
What's it like being a martyr? Does it hurt your feelings all the time, or are you okay?
It really does. It's like, it's just really hard work carrying all these extra people.
I imagine, yeah.
Joe, have you got a review out in the morning?
Yeah, I'm not done talking about this game. I'll do some more in the morning. Yeah.
Good man. Lockie, what about you?
I'm not doing a player ratings because they're all crap. I'll do that.
Wow, personally insulting them, that's disgraceful.
Rodon and Somerville were all right. Come on.
Yeah,
Great
I'll,
too,
I'll just talk about them too. I'll just do a video about them too.
Great stuff. And Wu-Tang
Great
Clan,
stuff.
Lu-Tang Clan.
Yeah,
what's
I'm doing
happening
fuck
with
all to do with this game ever again.
Yeah,
The lads
we're
might-
gonna-
The lads might be, but I'm going to be hungover tomorrow.
It's going to be doing the Men in Black.
I'm putting this one in the past and moving on. Someone
I think
else.
you're
can
on
do a
B&C
B&C.
tomorrow, Jay, by the way.
So someone else can do it.
Am I?
There you go.
Oh,
There you
him.
go.
That's okay. Thought I missed him.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, there'll be a preview. I think at some point I'll probably pre-record that and then back to Monday. There's no point doing a final word. We've chewed the fat over it tonight. I think obviously because Saturday and then we play again in 2 days. So yeah, man.
All hands to the pump now, mate.
Eh?
All hands to the pump now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
To the what?
To the pump.
Whatever floats your boat, Jay.
Yeah, exactly. Right, folks, we're going to leave it there anyway. Thanks always for tuning in today. It's been a wild one. Thanks for your support. Make sure you check out these amazing channels, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out.
Happy Easter.
All Cooper out.